Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel, and today we're looking at a very good high-tech quality product, and that is Flux by ProMystic. So I've mentioned this in my recent review of Totem by Alex Ng and Henry Harrius, and in that review I mentioned that I use Flux to essentially perform that effect, because it's the reason I perform that effect so much is because of Flux, and I kind of hinted at that in that review, and some of you have messaged me in the comments of that video or privately asking me, can you do a review of Flux? Can you talk more about it? I'd be interested in knowing exactly what it is, what it does, etc. So this is me doing that review for you. So let's roll the intro and go into a deep dive of Flux. Perfect, so you decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about Flux. So what is Flux? Flux is essentially a magnet detector disguised in your hand. It's essentially simply what it is. It's a very high-tech magnet detector that's going to be able to detect magnets while concealed in your hand. We're going to talk about exactly what magnets, etc. in a moment, but that is essentially what it does. Now, there's no one here with me for me to perform this effect, so there's no point of me performing the effect. But as I said, I use this to do Totem by Alex Ng. So if you have that routine, you know what that is. Or if not, you can use this tool very easily to do kind of a call-in cloud type effect, where you have a specter play a witch hand effect, where if they have the coin in this hand, they're going to think of a cat. If they have the coin in this hand, they're going to think of a walrus or whatever. And then you predict that all their choices, you have predicted them from the start. You can use that for this type of effect as well. So knowing this, where do you buy this, how much does it cost, and what do you get? So you can buy this directly from ProMystic themselves, or you can buy this directly from Theory 11, or you can buy this from where I got it, which is ALAKAZAM Magic. This is now in stock there, and they have a lot of them from what I've seen in a private live. And I asked Harry Nardi in that live if they have any, and he showed me that they got a big stock. So you can get yours from either of these three retailers. I don't know if anyone else has these in stock or pushes them out. Those are the only three places I know. And if you decide to get this from ALAKAZAM Magic, there is a discount code down below that you can use for saving some money. So what you get and how much does it cost before we get into what you get, because I know a lot of people are interested in that. How much does it cost? 200 USD, which is around 260 Canadian. So that is what this is going to cost you. So what do you get with your purchase? So inside of this box, you're going to get a 2-year warranty here. So with your purchase, get a 2-year warranty on anything that happens to that gimmick or to the Flux unit. You're getting help from ProMystic to fix, to repair, to change everything. Then you're going to get your Flux unit here, and underneath here you're also going to get a few extra things that are going to help you kind of make the gimmick work, stay healthy, stay stable, etc. As well as you're going to get a pack of batteries to help you if ever your batteries run out. You're going to be able to replace them, and also you're going to be able to know what batteries you're going to need to keep buying in order to replace them. So that is what you get with your purchase, as well as an additional instructional video. Now, mine didn't come with an instructional video, so I messaged the ProMystic team, and they were extremely nice. In less than 24 hours, they had me up and rolling with the instructional video. They were incredibly polite, incredibly professional, and I got the instructional video, which is around 30 minutes long, and it goes over how to use the unit, how it works, effects that you could do, how to gimmick certain objects to make them work, and a lot of the intricacies that you need to know. Now, I am almost sure, or more than sure, that if you buy this from Theory 11, I think you are getting a different video, so I can't comment on that one. But the one that I got is a YouTube link to ProMystic's hidden page, and you get the instructions. They're really well filmed, incredibly eloquent, incredibly well spoken. They're very good instructions, so that is what you get with your purchase. Now, before moving forward into the difficulty, etc. of my rubrics that I usually do, let's talk about what you need. So this does not come, it does come with some items that you need to gimmick certain other objects, and those items, I'm not going to hide, it's magnets, right? We know it. So because it's a magnet detector, so they give you some magnets that you can use in Sharpie caps and bills, etc. to gimmick certain objects to have them detected. However, if you want to do this with a coin, you're going to need the magnetic coin. So you need to buy a magnetic coin. If you have Totem by ALAKAZAM, this detects it to perfection. So if you have that poker chip, you can use that. If not, there's also some items that have been published. There's magnetic mints that have been published for Flux. There's key holders that have been published for Flux. There's a lot of items that have been published for Flux to be able to detect what you need to detect. So you'll probably need to buy one of those, but if you already have them, for example, me, I already had Totem, I already had a Silver Edge by Kim Anderson, which is really strong magnetic coin. So I had that as well. I had a magnetic quarter for another effect. So I already had magnetic items that I could use with this. And I also own some other projects that use magnets. So I had a lot of items handy. For example, I think it's called Control by Daryl Vandenberg. I have the pick as well, or the rock, etc., that you could use for this effect as well with Flux, and they work well as well. So you can use a bunch of different items as long as they're magnetic. However, be careful that this does not detect currencies, at least Canadian, which I thought it could, or certain metals. So be careful. They even talk about this in the instruction. For example, in Canada, our coins are magnetic, which means that if you put a coin to something that is magnetic, it is going to stick. However, they are not detectable by Flux. Same goes for certain rings. He says that certain rings are going to be detectable by Flux. Some of them will not be detectable by Flux. So you can't just plan on doing a routine where you have someone remove the ring and do Flux with them with the ring out, right? With their own borrowed ring. You're going to have to be careful of that as well. It won't necessarily work, so you do need to have your own items and your own prepped kind of stuff. You could do it impromptu with certain things as well. If you have Control, as I mentioned, there's a small pebble or a small guitar pick, so you could be on the road and just be like, let's do this with this rock that you planted before, and you do it with the rock, and you can make it impromptu. But most of the time you're gonna want to use your own props, which is something that I want to mention before moving into the rest. So what is the difficulty of Flux? Flux has been made extremely easy to use. It is extremely easy to use. I'm even gonna kind of show to you right now in a moment. It is extremely easy to use. It's extremely easy to do the effects and to get the readings that you need. It is very intuitive. It has a lot of modes that you can use to facilitate either visually or tactically what you need, or both. You can set that up as well. So performance-wise, it is very easy to use. Pretty much self-working. I mean, it's doing everything for you. So as long as you have a presentation, you are good to go. This is pretty much self-working, does the effect for you, does everything for you. You just have to put words behind your actions, and that is it. Now let's talk about practicality. So is this practical or not? So is Flux practical? Let's talk about carrying it. So how do you carry it? Because I've seen some people complain that it's annoying to carry, etc. So the way that I carry my Flux, since I'm going to show it to you in a moment, I won't show you the exact working, but this is where I carry my Flux. This is essentially a tube that came in the ProMystic by Luca Volpe, but I know you can get these easily from Amazon. So it's this tube, and I just put my Flux inside. So in this, it cannot get damaged in my pocket. It's not going to get lint. It's not going to get dirty. It's not going to get water on it. It's not going to get damaged. Not going to get squished, because this tube is really hard. Like, I'm squeezing it so hard and I can't even get it to bend. So this tube is really heavy, really hard. So I put my gimmick in here, which means that I could just have this in my pocket, in my top pocket, anywhere. And when I'm ready to perform Flux, I just remove this and I'm good to go. So this is how I carry my Flux. So I heavily recommend you something like this. Heavily. If you want to buy Flux, take something like this. It's going to protect it as well from damage, from other things as well, especially from other magnets. So if you forget to kind of leave it on, you know, this is kind of going to block the magnet detector as well. So I heavily recommend something like this to carry your Flux. I think it's a must. So this is how I carry around mine. Now that we know how to carry it around and that it is practical to carry around, is it practical to perform? And the answer is yes. So first of all, we're going to talk about skin tone, because Flux, for example, for me, fits my skin tone to utmost perfection. So I'm going to just show you this briefly, not too much, but this is essentially a flash of me using Flux, okay? So if I were to use it, it matches my skin tone perfectly, so I could just do my routines. However, I could be free, I could be touching them, etc. And it matches my skin tone perfectly. So what do you do if it doesn't match your skin tone? Well, they go over ways of essentially painting Flux in the desired skin tone that you want and altering it. They give you options of doing that, and that is a possibility, and they tell you it will not damage your gimmick or the workings of it whatsoever if you follow the instructions. So you can adapt it to your skin tone. However, hand size as well. You can adapt it to your hand size. They tell you ways that you can shorten it, that you can maybe adjust it a bit more, that you can make it tighter, that you can make it smaller if you have smaller hands. For me, the way it is designed fits perfectly from the box, all ready to go. Now let's talk about the effect. Let's talk about inspectability. Are the items inspectable? There's nothing really to inspect here. The item that you give the spectator is something that they handle the entire routine, so they wouldn't necessarily want to examine it. And your hands are also, you can flash while you're with Flux, right? Which is a major bonus compared to some other ones. You can just go in and just casually flash your hand while you're talking. Of course, you're not going to do, yes, sir, you see my hands are empty, right? But you can easily just talk to them and be like, put it in any of the hands and you can flash it and you'll be good to go. So it is inspectable because the item is inspectable, and of course your Flux unit is out of sight, out of mind. So really most of the routines that you're going to do with Flux are going to be inspectable. In terms of repeatability, you can repeat this over and over and over and over again without any issues. Your unit is going to work perfectly. In terms of where to perform, you do not need a table for this. You do not need specific weather conditions, etc. This is going to work well for you. Of course, you're not going to do it in the rain, but what I mean by conditions, I think weather wasn't the right choice of words, but performance conditions. So you can have dim lighting, whatever lighting that you want. You can even do this in a silent place. It's going to work perfectly well for you. So this can pretty much be performed anywhere, so it is very practical. Now moving on to the last one is, where do you perform this? This can be performed again anywhere. You can do this parlor, stage, cabaret, or close-up, mingling scenarios, table hopping, wherever. You can use Flux pretty much anywhere. Now let's talk about the positives and negatives of Flux. So what are the positives and negatives? Let's start with the negatives. What are the negatives of Flux? One of the negatives of Flux is that if you do not have the matching skin tone, you will have to do some DIY, some research, some extensive research to make sure to do this correctly and to make the gimmick work for you as it needs to. Second of all, you will also need to do some extra buying to have certain effects, certain tricks, certain coins that are going to work with Flux. It has to be magnetic, and as I mentioned, for example, magnetic coins that are in currency do not work. You're going to need special magnetic coins to buy. You can even buy Canadian magnetic coins, or you can probably find magnetic coins that are heightened in your country as well. So you can do that, but you're going to need to make some extra purchases as well. I think, in my opinion, this would have been great if it came with a magnetic quarter already included in it. But again, it is what it is, but I think it would have been a major bonus to have that already and have basically the purchase done and you're ready to go and fly and ready to go out to perform and fry brains. I think especially for $200 US, it would have been nice to have a magnetic quarter because they sell them for $20. I think it could have been a cool addition to provide that with your purchase, but that's just me. Now, what are the positives? One, the unit is extremely well made. The battery life is 50 to 60 hours, and it is not a rechargeable battery, which means you are not going to drain an internal battery here. It uses very cheap batteries that cost a few dollars, $2, $3 to replace, and they run 50, 60 hours, so you can constantly use them. The way it's designed is great. The functionalities, the modes of this is great. The detection radius is incredible. The feedbacks that you get are incredible, and it's incredibly reliable as well. The instructional video is good, and you get a 2-year warranty from the moment that you buy from ProMystic. And ProMystic is one of the most reliable and nice companies out there when it comes to backing their products and backing their electronics. So you are more than safe by buying Flux. Even if something is to occur, you're going to get top tier customer service. that is all I have to say about Flux. Would I recommend Flux, and what do I rate it out of 10? If you are looking for a magnet detector that is inconspicuous, works well, and is made by one of the top tier electronic companies out there for a very reasonable price as well, I think you should just instantly buy Flux. I think you're gonna love it, you're gonna use it, and it's going to be your go-to magnet detector for your routines. It is incredible. So, what do I rate it out of 10? I'm rating Flux a 9.5 on 10. It is almost a perfect utility. It's something that I'm going to be using, something that I do use already, and something that I probably will never want to buy another magnet detector again, as long as it doesn't completely break or destroy itself after 2 years. But if not, which I don't think it will, it's going to last a long time and is going to be something that I'm going to be using constantly. So 9.5 out of me, an incredible product and a must recommend. As always, if you have any additional questions, leave them down below. If not, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next one. Have a good one.